today we have Faraz Rahman talking about navigating the nuances of AI and machine learning product management. The background about her is that she's an AI product manager and a data scientist at Carnegie Mellon University. Without further ado, here is Faraz.
I'm so glad everyone is here, and I'm so excited to be here. So, my name is Faraz Rahman, and I'll be talking about navigating the nuances of AI product management. Little background about me: I am a machine learning and AI product manager. I'm also a data scientist, a data analyst. I have over 10 years of experience working in data science, data analytics, and utilizing these technologies in different domains such as manufacturing, precision agriculture, healthcare, and remote sensing data sets. So, but recently I graduated from Carnegie Mellon University, where my focus was to build products and services that use machine learning and AI as their core. So, yeah, today's topic is all about AI product management. Let's move on. So the objectives of today's talk is to just briefly introduce you to what exactly is AI product management. And I will go through some of the characteristics of AI products, and how they behave and what they can do for us. Then I will mention some of the evolving roles of AI product managers in this new changing technology. And what is the difference between an AI product and a traditional software product. And in the end, I will walk you through some of the unique challenges that we face while building AI products. So let's begin. Before I dive into much details, I would like to just convey one thing. When I'm saying AI product management, I don't just mean that it's all about large language models, generative AI, and computer vision. I also mean the end-to-end data science workflow that is utilized to build these products. Because most of the time you will be doing all of these things like analyzing the data, processing the data, extracting the features from the data and deploying those. So I also mean data science, data analytics, machine learning, deep learning, AI. So I'm using AI as an umbrella term to mean these technologies that are used to make these AI products. So AI product, and this is based on my own experience, it is just a subset of the usual traditional product management that uses machine learning and AI to build products and services for the customers and solve their pain points. It also oversees the end-to-end life cycle of AI products. And by end-to-end life cycle, like I said, you have to begin with ideating the ideas behind your product, like how you're going to solve a customer's problem using AI and machine learning, or even plain data science or data analytics. So how are you going to get those data, from where you're going to get those data, and how you're going to process it, build features, build machine learning models on top of it, and then deploy it. And when we deploy machine learning models, our work doesn't stop there. We have to monitor that models post-production, not just the models, but also the data. So this is one of the important aspects of AI product management. Next is AI product management bridges the gap between technical and business stakeholders. So when we have a business problem, we just cannot simply pass it on to our developers to build something. We have to refine those requirements into different user stories. Like that, it happens in any product management, but in AI, you have to envision how beneficial it is to your company and to the users. For example, AI products are really cost sensitive, so they need a lot of investment to build and run successfully. And the business stakeholders need to understand how it is going to add value to their business value and to the users in the end. And then next is AI product management ensures adoption by customers. So unless your product is usable by your customer, I don't think it is really making sense to use these new technologies that are complex and build products out of them. Next is one of the most important and likely saw in the first session, product management ensures compliance, bias and privacy of user data, and the security of user data. So AI products are really like AI machine learning models are really good at amplifying bias in the data. So when we have a biased data right from the data collection stages, it will get reflected into our machine learning models, and eventually it will give us really bad predictions, which will not be usable in real world scenarios. Next slide, please. So coming to what are some of the characteristics of AI products. So what they can do for us. So I have listed here 8, and you can see AI products are really good at automating mundane daily tasks. You can use them as chatbots, voice assistants. Then AI products with NLP capabilities, they can comprehend and interpret human language, they can generate human language, analyzing large amount of text data. For example, you can analyze some medical healthcare manuals to get the right insights from them so that it helps doctors making good predictions, and which is helpful for early decision making. Then AI products can be autonomous. That means they can take decisions and take actions without much human intervention. And we see in self-driving cars, but yes, these needs to be trained thoroughly for all the edge cases that a real world scenario provides to any product. Then AI products can be used for optimization. For example, route optimization. You can optimize your, if you're going from point A to point B, how do you optimize that process with respect to cost, with respect to distance, with respect to time taken. So AI products are really helpful in doing that and scaling that up. Next is AI products are continuously learning. They actually learn from incoming data, and they actually train, and they need to be retrained, but they actually learn from new data and adapt to these new situations accordingly. For example, our Google search algorithms. So as and when we are supplying new data, and it is learning continuously and behaving much more accurately for us. Next is AI products. They can recognize patterns. For example, they can recognize correlations, anomalies in the data, and also provide us recommendations. For example, when we are buying some stuff online, then we get recommended products according to the people who are similar to us. Then the next thing is predictive capabilities. And this is some of the most important. I would feel like I have also used this in my work previously. They can learn from historic data and predict for the future, for example, weather forecasting. And then finally, decision support, using data to arrive at insights and taking actions on those insights. And this can be as simple as a business intelligence dashboard, where you can, process the data, understand it, see through the visualizations, and deploying it in your customers' machines. Next. So what are some of the evolving role of AI product managers? So we all know that AI product managers, they are responsible for building a product's vision, and what is the roadmap of the product, how this product is refined into different user stories to solve customers' problems. So these are the usual stuff that AI product manager anyway has to do it. But apart from that, there are certain things that an AI product manager needs to keep in mind while envisioning an AI or machine learning technology to build a product. For example, the first one is evaluating the need for AI. By this, I mean that you need to analyze the feasibility of using machine learning or deep learning or computer vision technology for your product. You need to realize what potential benefits it is going to give you, your company, your organization, or to the users. Next is understanding when to incorporate machine learning and AI in your products. For example, not always you are building a product that is just pure machine learning. In my previous company, it was a precision agriculture company. Our product was purely predictive services to agriculture customers. So we use machine learning models and deploy it as SaaS products. But sometimes this is not the case. You may use it as a improvement to your existing product. For example, when you go to an e-commerce website, you follow a particular user journey where you actually search for the product, check the price, input your card details, and then you buy. This is a plain simple workflow. But when you want to enhance the user experience, you provide a recommendation below it. And how you do that? Using recommendation engines. And this is an add-on, an extra feature for your product. So you need to understand when do you want to include it. Is it going to be a whole product based on machine learning predictions, or is it going to be an add-on? Next is defining the end goal of the product. And by end goal, I mean, how are you going to serve your machine learning models or AI models to your customers? It can be descriptive. For example, you are giving a dashboard. Oh, I'm sorry. So you need to define the end goal in case like you need to, it can be descriptive, predictive, or prescriptive. Under descriptive, you can provide dashboard services and insights for your customers. Under predictive services, how you can provide predictions for future, for example, weather forecasting. And then prescriptive is something like, route optimization. You can prescribe some course of action that is required to go through a workflow. So you need to understand how your product is going to be interacted with by your customer or users. Next is understanding how AI products work. So machine learning and AI products are iterative, and it involves a variety of steps like data collection, data processing, feature engineering, and monitoring the models post-production. So you need to understand how these steps happen one by one. And then when you have to come back when there's a problem going ahead, because machine learning models don't normally behave as they behave in your training scenarios in real world. When you deploy, the parameters may change, the data may change. Next is understanding machine learning and AI algorithms. I think as an AI and machine learning product manager, it is really important to understand new techniques, new details. Like the basics will always remain the same. You will use data, analyze it, process it, and understand what goes behind these models, because you need to be able to understand and collaborate with your engineers who are building these models. And if you are not able to do that, you will not be able to make the right roadmap for your product. Next, I think it's an evolving role of an AI product manager. Every company is different and they have different requirements. For example, a big company may have machine learning scientists and machine learning engineers, data scientists, analysts, data engineers, and then product managers. And in startups, you will have to wear multiple hats and do the same thing. And this is what happened in my previous company. I was working as a data scientist. I was working as a product manager, and I was also working on building some data engineering pipeline. So you need to understand all of these things. Roles change, but you need to adapt accordingly. Next. So here are some of the differences between AI products and traditional software products. AI products, they learn and adapt. They learn from new incoming data. They follow an iterative development process. For example, you have built a machine learning model and you are ready to deploy it. But then you suddenly find that it's not working in a way that you want to in the production environment because its accuracy is going down with the new incoming data. Then what do? You go back to the data and analyze it. You check that. Even sometimes you have to collect more data, more relevant data to build a viable machine learning product. So it's really iterative, and that is what makes it challenging to interpret and develop. Challenging, I would say, I would add new machine learning technologies like algorithms like computer vision or deep learning or neural networks. These are kind of black box models, so it is really difficult to interpret them, and they heavily rely on data, and not just any data. They rely on good representative set of data that is a good window to our real world scenarios. And they also need continuous improvement. It's not just we deploy it in production and then we forget about it and let our customers deal with bad predictions. And on the other hand, when we see a traditional product, they cannot learn and adopt themselves. They need to be provided a predetermined rules and logic on which they are built. And they are more interpretable and explainable as compared to any AI machine learning product. And they are again tested based on predefined rules, and they need periodic updates and versions. Next. Okay, so now coming on to some of the unique challenges we can face as in the AI product management domain. And these challenges are based on my experience, which I have personally felt. So data acquisition and data quality. It's really important. I cannot just emphasize enough what is the importance of data when you're building machine learning models, because sometimes it so happen that data sets are collected in a way that is not representative of real world scenario. For example, when you are collecting data for loan disbursement, and you will find certain zip codes, certain area, people from those areas are neglected. And when you use those data to train your machine learning model, you will never get people from certain category get the loans. So this is really important. From where you're gonna get the data is really important. The data quality with respect to missing values, with respect to what is the lower value, higher value and lower value, and all the statistical properties, capturing them, analyzing them, and removing any issues with the data is really time taking. And I think establishing a proper data governance rules and policies in your company is going to help a lot in doing this. Then cross-functional collaboration. So as a data or machine learning product manager, you have to deal with a lot of stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders. For example, in internal stakeholders, you have to talk to your CEOs or business stakeholders, and then technical stakeholders like your engineers. You have to facilitate those knowledge sharing, because sometimes business stakeholders, they do not understand what a machine learning accuracy is. They just understand what is the ROI, like what is the return on investment, what they are making for using these products. Then you have to come up with some feedback loops and facilitate sharing in order to be able to understand this. When it comes to external customers, it becomes really difficult to deal with them, because you have to give them the assurance that what you are providing them is actually trustworthy. So oftentimes I used to get this question that, okay, you are giving this prediction to us. How am I going to trust it? How am I going to use this prediction to make decisions for my business? And then you go bam, like you don't know how to explain it to them. So at that time, understanding what goes behind your machine learning model, not in terms of your algorithm, but in terms of data and data analytics, performing the exploratory data analysis actually helps in this scenario. And you should be able to actually do this as AI product managers. Next is algorithm selection and optimization. So there are actually many algorithms that can be used to build machine learning product, and they will behave very nicely. They will give good accuracy. But again, it also depends on how much time it is going to train those algorithms, how many steps of optimization process it needs to go through to give a correct prediction. So you need to understand that, because as an AI product manager, you have to build a roadmap. You have to show it. You have to get buy-ins from your sponsors that whatever roadmap you are suggesting, that okay, our product is going to get ready by this much time, you should be able to understand what process is going through. And for that, you have to constantly interact with your machine learning engineers or software engineers who are responsible for deployment, and also sharing the technical knowledge is important. Next is interpretability and explainability. Machine learning models are really not much interpretable unless you are using some models like tree-based models, random forest decision tree or regression. But again, when you move up and you deploy complex models like deep learning or neural networks, then definitely these are less explainable and have to understand how you are gonna address these issues with your customers. So this is what I felt, and I kind of actually avoided using large models like or complex models unless it was giving me a better, much higher better accuracy and results as compared to using a regression or a decision tree. Next. Next is issues with ethical and regulatory considerations. Here, what will happen is when you have data, you will have data from your customers, and it may so happen that their privacy and security can be compromised in this scenario. For example, their leakage of their sensitive information related to their credit cards and their location, demographic locations. So these are not a good part, and even a person working on these models shouldn't be able to see these details. So at that time, you need to consider when you are extracting the data from different sources, how you are going to mask those data sets. There are many rules and regulations that you have to ensure that your product is complying, or else you may be subjected to sanctions. And this is not a good thing to do. Next is continuous improvement and adaptation. So AI products are actually like as good as the data they are trained on. So when you deploy your machine learning models in production, what happens is it gives nice predictions to your customers are happy, but suddenly the statistical properties of the incoming data changes. Sometimes a particular group drops from your data sets, and you are using the same model to give them prediction. Unless you retrain it, it will give false prediction to your customers. So at that time, you have to keep on monitoring the models in terms of the statistical properties of the incoming new data that is coming in, and the statistical properties of the data that is used to train the machine learning model. You need to make a balance there so that you are aware that what is happening to your model post-production. Next is integrating with existing systems. So it will be difficult to integrate AI models or machine learning models as an improvement to an existing legacy system, which is not designed for deploying machine learning models. So you may feel there is actually some resistance from your stakeholders, from your engineers, because people just do not want to change sometimes. And I would say like this is a people problem. And also in terms of deploying it, if your customers are interacting with these models, these products having machine learning models in their backend, they may face user experience issues. And it really becomes a task, and how you're going to plan it is really important. Next is educating stakeholders and managing expectations. So it's something like whoever our customers are, users are, they think that if we are using machine learning or AI, then our problems are going to get solved magically. But this is not the case. Not all, like you can solve issues or problems using heuristics methods also, like not complicating things much. But when you are using machine learning, then their expectation actually becomes really high. So it's really important to manage those expectations and keep them grounded if you're using these. Next. Yeah, so I think that's all from my side. As recommendation, I would say it's important to focus on learning new technologies, be open to changes and collaboration, because it's really important. You cannot just work in silos and expect everyone to follow what you have prepared in your roadmap or user stories. interaction is really important. And then focus on the problems first, because what happens is we always, whenever a problem comes, we think that, okay, I'm going to solve this using generative AI. But have you ever like just try to do it with simple regression machine learning models and then go upwards? Because machine learning models, AI models are really cost compute sensitive. You may have to use a lot of resources and you need investments for that. Investments in terms of using these technologies, investments in terms of getting the right people to do your job. So it's really important to solve problems first that is valuable for your users and not think about technology much. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yes.
Hi, my question is specific to product management, not necessarily to AI. I want to know what are the hard skills that we require in order to excel in product management. My understanding is we would require an understanding of what's been happening around the world. Secondly, SQL as databases is a huge thing when it comes to product managers. And the third thing would be UI and UX. Is that the right thing to sort of gauge?
Yes, I think you are almost right there. I would add one point to there, that one, always use data to make your decisions. So your decisions should be backed up by data, because when you are going to get buy-ins from your sponsors, or you are showing a roadmap to your stakeholders, you need to understand that what goes behind that decision-making process. They will need logic behind it. And that logic, I think, can be obtained from using data to make your decisions. Other than that, rest three are nice.
Hi, thank you for a wonderful presentation. So I had a question. In my experience, I've worked in the product management industry in developing some ERP softwares, right? So there was this talk of adding, let's say, OpenAI to these ERP software so that you accumulate data, and then it's the OpenAI generates it in a very user-friendly format. Could you give some insight as to how accurate these, like let's say, ChatGPT could be in inferring these data?
When it comes to ChatGPT, I think it's really a very nice tool. You can include it, but if you are using it to specifically in your use case, I think using a base model, a pre-built model, and then training it using your own domains data will help you refine that model in a nice way. And then always you will have a human in the loop to make that decisions. We just cannot leave the decision making on just simply the chat GPT, whatever they are, it is providing it to us. We need to check that, and using your own domains data and the pre-built models, combining them will, I think, refine your models better, and it will work better in production. I think he has been asking.
So you spoke somewhere around the middle there about using the AI in the product, and that's the whole discussion, but using AI in the product and as the product kind of the difference between non-AI product and the AI product is there a, I guess it's, should AI products be frozen before they're deployed? Because you're saying the AI product is learning, and so it's growing as it's out there. But if your customer is using the product and it's growing, and you're saying it's a problem, it can grow in a direction you don't like. What do you think about the concept of freezing the product before providing it to the client, so it grows to a point and you provide that, but it doesn't continue off in directions that you don't have control of and out in the world?
So, if I'm understanding your question correctly, is it something like how AI products are evolving, constantly, continuously learning, how we can actually make them static and or how we can serve them to our customers if they are constantly evolving and getting trained, right?
Right, you can keep growing it yourself internally, but as you provide it to your customer, not have it be a live version, I guess you could say, like a.
So I think there are 2, 3 aspects here. How we are gonna serve our models to our customers. For example, sometimes you need to serve predictions to your customers in real time, sometimes in batches. So when I used to work in my previous company, that is Digital Harvest, my job was to give predictions to our agriculture customers based on their ground truth data and the remote sensing data that we are getting from NASA Sentinel data sets. So we used to retrain that model every 15 days. So our cadence was that much, like 15 days. We redeploy it, retrain it with the new incoming data, and then redeploy it, and that is batch predictions. But sometimes you need to provide these predictions in real time. So people cannot wait for your predictions because suppose it's a disaster management application. You need to provide what is happening in real time. At that time, you need to have that data sets every like 15, 20 minutes, or it may happen very like in a continuous manner also, so that you have to provide the details, or else it will not make sense if you are giving real-time predictions and using the data using models that is trained in previous or historic data. I'm able to answer.
So first, thank you for the presentation. It's really wonderful. And I just have a question related to AI self-development as well, because I was thinking, because you mentioned that we need to select optimal tool, like optimal algorithm to suit a certain services that we want to provide our users, right? So related to that gentleman's question, like sometimes it goes wrong, like as my own experience when I was using ChatGPT to learn something, very, very occasionally it goes into a wrong direction, or because I was learning coding, so like the methods that it's providing was kind of like not efficient enough along the time I figured out. So like to figure out that kind of question, like for example, if we have the customer feedback about those kind of problems, as a product manager, do you guys just help the AI to correct the algorithm, to develop the algorithm, or do you just let the users to teach it and train it along the process?
Thank you for the question. When we are using ChatGPT kind of predictions using or data or insights generated from ChatGPT, we actually rely on users to give the feedback if it is correct or not to retrain itself. It's not like I would say I haven't used ChatGPT to train any model or deploy it, but this is my take on this. Yes, we definitely rely on the users. You may have seen in the UI. That is why the UI part is so important here in product management. You empower your customers with the right set of tools easily, so that they can click. Okay, this is thumbs up. Okay, this answer is correct, and then this answer is not good, or this is so. So you provide that feedback, and that feedback gets saved and is helpful for retraining the model. And that is what I think ChatGPT OpenAI is doing.
So,
in my opinion.
So like we're collaborating.
Yes, the users are collaborating. Continuously improvement, I would say, like I gave an example of how Google search engine works. They are also doing the same thing. Your search algorithm, their search algorithm actually gets better every day when we provide our details in that one. Yeah.
Thank you. The presentation was super insightful. I had a couple of questions. So one was around the data aspect that you talked about. I know finding data and quality data is a huge challenge. Have you at any point of time explored generating synthetic data sets? And how is the performance on a synthetic data set versus the actual data set? Even though you're sort of using a model to synthesize very statistically specific types of data. Just wanted to understand what kind of challenges can we expect with that, and if that's like a good workaround to the data challenge in general.
Yes, I think I have used synthetic data. I've used a very simple smart algorithm to generate synthetic data to build a healthcare application. So just recently, I was building a diabetes prediction application where my training set had like 92% of people who didn't have diabetes, but only 8% of people they were having diabetes. If I'm going to train my model in that type of data, it will always tell that with 95% or 100% accuracy, sometimes it will tell that, okay, this person is not diabetic. But what about the rest of the 8%? So to balance this data, I used a smart algorithm. I haven't used any any complex algorithm to do that. Yes, it is required. And I think when I use that, it gave me around 94% of accuracy overall, and not just accuracy in terms of the overall percentage of people that model is identifying correctly, but also how many true positive, false positive, true negative, false negative details also. That was also above 92%. So I would say they are performing better, but I didn't get the chance to refine it further so that I can improve my accuracy further. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I wanted to ask your advice on someone who's a data analyst trying to pivot into the product space. What would your advice be?
Yeah, I think I can totally relate with you. When I started off, I was a data analyst and then I became data scientist. For me, it became really helpful when I worked in a startup where I had to not just build machine learning models or analyze the data, but also interact with customers, understand what were their pain points, and understand how I'm gonna make that product roadmap in future. I would say skills like better your communication skills, collaboration skills, and then understanding how this technology, you already know that how data analysis is, and then you're gonna acquire some knowledge about how machine learning models are working. Then you have to now focus towards customer, think like your customer and become their advocate, so that like you have to speak their language, understand their problems. That is what I have seen so far. Unless we understand our customers properly, we'll not be able to make products for them. Ultimately, we are making products for our users, and not just because we want to use any particular technology. So I think to become to transition into a product space, I would say just interacting with customers, users, and pain points, and understanding what are the different ways you can come up with as a solution, like how you can provide solution to your customers, right from the basic thing to advanced thing, and then creating a roadmap, like what will be the space. And then another thing is breaking your customers or users problems into small stories. Like you just cannot solve like, okay, I'm gonna change, my customer's problem is climate change and they are really worried about it. You need to break it down into small steps, which can be doable and which can be made into features so that you can use them as products. So I would say understanding your users is really important.
Hi, can you speak more about the active data that you were talking about? My question specifically is that you used accuracy as a performance metric in order to understand how your model was performing. But what I have read from the research that I've been doing is that the performance metric should essentially be something that considers false positives and gives it a lot more weightage. As you said, the data was extremely skewed in terms of positive results and negative results, which is why you use more. So what did you do for that, and what was like the whole performance metric evaluation that happened through it? Did you do hyperparameter tuning? Just like, want to know the whole process.
Okay. So yes, I use accuracy, but I also use the confusion matrix here. So how many people who are diabetic, and how many people our model is actually predicting them as diabetic. But in our use case, we gave more weightage to how many people who were actually diabetic, but our model was giving them like they are not diabetic, because this is not the good case in a healthcare scenario. So yeah, we actually sometimes hyperparameter tuning is really very confusing. You just have to iterate it and see which hyperparameter is actually doing better. But I used random forest model to do that, but it was not that heavy model. It was really simple. I was doing in an educational setting, and yes.
I'm going to piggyback on that question a little bit. While we were sitting here, I wrote a model that predicts diabetes, but it only gets 88% accurate. 12% of people in the US have diabetes. I'm just going to say nobody has diabetes. I have 88% accuracy. So in your model, when you're in the 90-something%, I think there's a disconnect between what I'm understanding. Obviously, it's much better than that. So what's the disconnect between those numbers and what I'm hearing, how a model like that works? And can you speak to that?
Yeah. So when I made the diabetes prediction application, I didn't straightforward give the predictions to the customers like you are diabetic, yes or no. So I actually gave them their probability of having the diabetes, which we also get as an output for our random forest model. So I used to give them, and then there is also a caveat. It comes with a caveat that you have to consult your doctor to, ensure that this is correct based on your vitals, based on your blood sugar level and your or your fasting sugar levels. So it was a prediction of how likely you are gonna get diabetic, and not exactly like, okay, you are gonna, like, if you are above 50%, then you are going to get diabetic. So we give them the percentage of likelihood if they are going to get diabetes or not. The decision making is up to them if they are going to believe it or not, or but they have to actually consult the doctor. In healthcare space, obviously we didn't deploy it to the real customers or on an application. We did it with a small beta user space of around 30 plus users within our community, and we actually explained to them that this is how it is. It is just a prediction about the likelihood. It is not the case, and we can say that this prediction is around 90 to 94% correct. Like 80, I can say with 92% accuracy or confidence that you are gonna get diabetes like 75%. Your likelihood of getting diabetes is 75%. This is how we actually, the messaging is really important in this type of case.
Hi, Faraz. Thank you for the session. I just have one question around the governance and the data security that you briefly mentioned in the presentation. So, two-fold question. First one is, are there any standard metrics and standards that the industry, any industry that you can think of, has developed in order to sort of come up with metrics that, oh, these are the features that need to be sort of hidden and not used? And what kind of adherence to those metrics and standards have you seen in your professional experience? And second is, as a product manager, what kind of conversation or sort of conversation happens between a product manager and the customer when it comes to data security and privacy? So in the sense, as a user, I just tick mark I accept regulations, right? I know that some data is being collected, but I do not know exactly what data is being collected or what is the vulnerability of some of the data that I am sharing with the product. So any conversation that is happening in that space or anything that is being thought of to sort of make it more transparent about that conversation and make it more clear to the customer as to how that data is being governed and what is the vulnerability of that data that they're sharing. Thank you.
I would say to answer your first question about what are some of the regulations, I think these regulations are mostly from our governments, like HIPAA compliance for healthcare products, and then GDPR, and European unions, they have their own compliance mechanisms. So as product manager, we have to ensure that, and these are the regulations that we need to follow. You need to have not just product managers there, you need to have your legal team also to ensure that. And when it comes to privacy of these data sets, I think anonymizing and masking these data sets really helps. And there are different use cases for different type of domains, like how Netflix actually anonymizes their data, and how a healthcare application, they anonymize the data, plus the demographic data. For me, working in precision agriculture domain, the data security was not that an issue, but yes, the location of the data where the customers were having their fields, agriculture crop fields and everything, they wanted it to anonymize. And yes, we were having that type of conversation with them, that how we are gonna secure our data, and all things technical mostly, I would say. But apart from that, I don't think I have had much conversation with the users with respect to privacy and security. Yeah, in my experience.
Thank you for the session. I wanted to kind of draw upon your personal experiences from the industry and then going back to school, Mellon. For the young people that's kind of starting out, what advice would you give to crack into the business? Is it the name of the school? Is it the program? Is it a community college person who's going to have the same chance as a Carnegie Mellon? What's your advice for those young people?
I can totally relate to it. Like when I would say I actually started as a mechanical engineer. I have a degree in mechanical engineering, but my domain was something like renewable energy, where I used to check and analyze a lot of wind energy, solar energy data sets. So that is how I got my interest from. But when it comes to getting into school after working for a couple of years, I have actually worked 10 years, and then I came to Carnegie Mellon University to study more deeply into product management, because that is where I felt the gap is there. Because being a mechanical engineer, working in manufacturing domain, although I was using data analysis and all these technologies, but I didn't know how software products worked. So then I actually, before joining CMU, I actually joined a startup. That is where I learned a lot of coding, lot of software engineering stuff, data engineering stuff. So, but I felt there was a need to understand how these software products work, and I kind of aligned my learning. That's how I aligned my learning, so that I'm learning something new. In the business domain, I would say I had worked technically in my past a lot, so I wanted to move up in the career ladder, make decisions, take decisions, and also collaborate with all stakeholders. So that is why I actually got into CMU. But I would say brand name doesn't matter, actually. It's good to have brand name, but I would say it's okay to actually be in like study in any college. But if you have that passion plus the right time, you are trying to switch your career from one point to another point is important. I don't think brand name is that much important. This is my experience.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a quick question regarding hard skills to work with AI. Since it's like a relative new thing to work with, we all know what hard skills are necessary to work as a data analyst, for example. But exactly as an AI product management, like what is your top, I don't know, to-do list of the hard skills to learn to work with that?
I think your ability to communicate the value proposition of your product, of your solution to your customers and to your business stakeholders you will be investing in your product is important, I think. I think communication is important, and that communication will be swift only if you have technical knowledge of how these products work.
Yeah, like my question was on the technical knowledge, like hard skills on technological knowledge for AI itself, like to understand machine learning, deep neural network, everything like that.
So it's like it's good to have understanding of these skills, like you know how these models work, but I would say you do also these things. Like you work hands-on these models. You try to code, you build your own product. Sometimes you code it out. Like I, as a product manager, I have actually built data engineering pipeline. I've done the analysis. I've also done written the code to deploy these models in production. No way it was very simple or it was very very swift or nice, but yes, you need to get hands-on skills. Like it's good to understand these skills like machine learning and deep learning. Unless you practice it, I don't think it will make that sense. Once you build a model yourself, you will know how much time it is going to take train, because you will know how much data it is going to take. If your model is giving nice accuracy in with 50% of the data, then you use that 50%. You don't have to use that huge volumes of data in your analysis. So these type of things comes with your practice, your hands-on experience, and this will help you interact with your engineers, I think. And I think, yeah, definitely learning about how these models work is very helpful. But don't go much deeper into the mathematics of it. There are many packages that help you do that. You just have to put your logic in a way that it is helpful in a larger setting.
In terms of domains which require high data integrity and security, how do you convince, as a product manager, how do you convince and basically mediate between the developers and the clients about introducing automation for decision making for the end user, like banking or corporate finance? These would be the decisions that would be recommended by the AI, or the recommendations in itself would be high risk, right? So in that case, how do we mediate the discussion between a developer and a client when the client is very reluctant to automation due to the associated risks?
I would say when it comes to banking, finance sector, there is just no mediation. You have to actually follow with those data integrity and compliance rules. And mostly, I would say your software architecture, your developers are responsible for making that data sets really compliant with the rules and regulations that users want. Sometimes it so happens that you have to actually work in office actually to carry out that particular job. You cannot do it from home. So these type of mediation, and you know that as a software developer, I would know that this is the requirement. There is just no denying the fact that you cannot do that, because the customer data security and privacy are at most important. I think this is what is required. But if there are any issues, our job as product managers is to convey them rightly to the software developers to make it correct.
So if you can we please give a round of applause? Session. Next will be lunch at Congress Park where everyone registered.